Good morning. Today is the 3rd of February 2025 and I'm going to go through the levels today. But as always, before we start, let's see what news could move the market. No pre-market news, but we've got some big ones coming up. We've got PMI 945 and that's manufacturing. Manufacturing PMI get at 10 as well. So we've got two lots of PMI numbers, 9:45 and 10 a.m. And then we've got some Fed speaker at 12:30. Keep an eye on that. And that's pretty much it for the day. So be a bit wary today. 9:45, 10, and if you're still trading it after midday, 12:30. I probably won't trade until after 10 o'clock to see when the market. I like to see which way the market's moving. Give it at least half an hour, quarter of an hour for it to find its direction. So before we start, let's open up my pen. Second. Big gap down, massive gap down. This is based on the Trump tariffs. I think he said he was going to implement tariffs for Canada and Mexico and also Europe. Hopefully, probably here in the UK. I'm not sure. You just say UK are okay at the moment, but who knows? You know, I saw a good tweet at the weekend. What was it? It said 25 years technical analysis in one hand, or one Trump tweet in the other hand. Kind of destroys all that technical analysis. It's quite funny, but it's true. So let's get into some levels. We're on. Start off with the ES. I've just cleaned up some of my charts. I've got rid of all the levels previously. I just added in a couple more, and I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible every day. Rather than keep adding extra levels in. The only one I will keep in place is SPX because we use that as a guide. Okay, so this is ES, this is a 1 hour time frame, and you can see we closed at 60.57 area on Friday, and then Sunday we had this big gap down, and we're now right down in this bottom of the gap. We had this area of potential demand, and we're holding that area right now. I did have some levels between these areas, but because of the gap down, I'm not going to play them. I think the only levels I'm watching today, I'm going to keep my eye on pre-market high, break and retest long. And if we do take that, then that's great. But also, I'm looking for a rejection down at the gap fill, 60, 57, 58 area. And if we lose this area, then I'm watching for a break and retest of pre-market low. And that's pretty much it. We do have a small area of demand there and a bigger demand area down here. So really the next area to watch, it's not really until we get to 58.20. We can probably keep an eye on 5900, psychological number. It's been a big area, it's got a bit of volume coming in that area. And we had a little bit of supply and a big move up. We haven't been back down to that area since we had that big move up. Where's that, on the 15th of December, was that? No, 15th of January. So to keep it really simple, I'm looking for break and retest of pre-market high, break and retest of pre-market low, a rejection on the gap fill or yesterday's low. Potentially I'll watch for a bounce at 5900, psychological number as well. Else I'll wait until we get down into this area. So, and it looks like a decent valid demand area because we've got our area of demand. We broke out, we came back and retested that demand area. We haven't yet gone back inside it. So maybe that's a test we've been waiting for. And next time we'll come back into that area to see a big move. But we can keep an eye on this. Point of control is currently where we are in the pre-market high area. So might make it hard to get over that area. But if we do break it, come back and retest it, I'm looking for a long. That's it really for ES. SPY. You see the gap down into this area, big area of confidence. Notice the volume profile on this side, this area here. There's a bit of volume, two volume shelves. It's not very well drawn, but if that gives you a general idea. Let's keep an eye on for the gap fill, which is that region there, 598 to 600. 600, big round number, psychological number. Bounce wise, I don't like anything until we get back down to this 582 area. So let's keep an eye on 582. Let's just draw it in. Rather than me just put loads and loads of areas of demand, so probably that area there. And then just draw in the next, this area here. So looking for when we had big moves. So 584, we can watch that area for a bounce, and then we've got this area 578.20 basically for a bounce into that zone. Obviously we can watch 594.60 for break and retest long, or we can watch this 590.15, is that 590.15 for the break and retest short. And we've got targets in place as well, we can target these areas. And obviously if we get to this gap fill area, so the gap fill is at 598.85, but 600 is an area to keep an eye on for rejection. Point of control is currently at 602 area, so this area here we may find it hard to get through, but we may have some liquidity up there. SPX, let's put in, we've got another level we can add from the recent highs. Okay, so we're gapping down, so I imagine we'll be down at this point area, 59.80. So the only area we can watch, we've got this region here for a bounce, and we had this big move up. So 59.32. So if we're coming into that area and we're looking for a bounce on ES, then that's valid. If we're below this area, then it's going to be hard to go long when SPX is moving into overhead resistance. And then if we fill this gap, again we'll see when we open up, but it'll probably be a gap about here. If we get back up into this 614, 620, 640 area, then we can use that as a rejection area. Next up is NQ, the Nasdaq 100. Again, big gap down, so I'm only watching this 21,534 area, 21,550 for rejection. If buying this charge we have a big push up, we've got this area of overhead supply, 2190 area for rejection as well. Otherwise we can watch this region here, which is an area of demand, 2080 to 2700 area, that region there for a potential bounce. And of course the break and retest of 21,272 long, pre-market high, and pre-market low 21,118 short. Again, keeping it simple. Let me just quickly. Next up is QQQ. I like the gap fill area again, 520 for the rejection. We've got yesterday's low a little bit above at 521.18. And we do have area 530 is an area you can watch for potential rejection. Let's just draw this zone in. So I've just tied up a lot of the charts. So that's our supply zone. We have a little bit of area of demand down here. Let's draw that in as well. This region here, and potentially this region here. And so we've got potential areas watch about 500, psychological number. So potentially if we come into that area, let's watch for a bounce. And if it does come into the areas, the way I'd play it is I don't just want to take the blind long there as it comes in. You don't know it's going to do that, or it might just come in, pull back, you get entry and it continues down, and then you stop out. What I'll be looking for is to come in, come back out, come back in, retest, and then probably want to take it on the break of that pivot long. So it does something like that. Or definitely if you want to be a bit more risk, if you want to put more risk on, maybe take it on the pullback, on the first green candle on the pullback with the stop below there. That's how I'd try and find the entry in these areas of demand, the same as up here. If we push up into that area, come back in, touch it, come back up, do something like that, then I'll be looking either for a first red candle on the sell setup, or if we break down past those, it might do something like that, come back and retest. So I do quite like the break and let's do that again, the break and retest. So it comes down, comes back up, retests that pivot to continue the trend down. So that would be a more high probability entry. Otherwise, if I'm looking for a break and retest a pre-market high, I want to see it break out, come back and retest that area, and I want to go long on the first green candle, and same short on the first red candle on the retest on the pre-market low. So that's QQQ. Oil, it's green. So it's broken this structure. So we've been in this downtrend for some time. We had big volume come in as well, normally a sign of ending volume. Another big volume there, maybe that's the first clue that we're ending this trend. Broken that pivot, and we came back and we retested it. So it's a beautiful break and retest of this region. Look at that. We had this level drawn up as well. Pre-market lows right down at that point as well. So just play trend continuation on this one. Break and retest a pre-market high at 74.78. And we've got this overhead area of volume. You could say it's resistance, big area of confluence. We've got a volume shelf there. Bottoms of candles, tops of candles, tops of candles here as well. So just watch this area 75.50, 75.40 for the rejection. And then look at that. We drew this area of demand in last week. We came back in. Look at that. We touched it and came back out. So if we come back down into that area, I do quite like it. I want to see it break into that area 72, come back out, and put in some sort of change of trend. In fact, you could say that our supply zone could be there. Let's just make a slight adjustment. Where does that leave us? Okay, so basically if we come in, we came out, we retested it, come back out. So yeah, still quite like pre-market high break and retest. But let's keep an eye on this. I do quite like this for the long. It's above all the moving averages right now. Next up is gold. Big push up, come back in and retest this level. It's not a bad level to have. We were watching that area for a retest. Hopefully somebody took that 2800 psychological number. If we can get over pre-market high, we've got a little bit of room before we get to yesterday's or Friday's high. We are looking pretty strong right now. We're quite extended away from all the moving averages. Break and retest pre-market high into yesterday's high. Overall trend for this is up. You can see this big hourly uptrend, putting in higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher low. And let's watch for trend continuation. Let's continue this trend until it's not. So break and retest of pre-market high. I'd even consider break and retest of yesterday's high. Come back down into this region. I think that's it. No shorts really. It's all-time highs as well. So yeah, definitely no shorts while we're up here. RTY. Have we just completed a head and shoulders pattern? We could say left shoulder, or this was the left shoulder, the head, and then the right shoulder. Again, I'm not too worried. You can clearly see the neckline. I'm not too worried if it's not quite a right shoulder, or is that a shoulder, or is that part of the head? As long as you can see the neckline and the general pattern where we've got increase in sales, big push up, and then decreasing. That's what I'm looking for basically. I do quite like the rejection here at the gap fill. Yesterday's, Friday's low. Big area of confluence as well. It's the top end of that volume shelf. Otherwise, pre-market low, break and retest to break down through this neckline. And if we come back up, come back in and retest this area, I quite like it for a short as well. That's basically the pre-market break and retest. First target will be that pivot. Second target, this pivot if we're short. And not a big fan of the break and retest of pre-market high, only because we've got all of this point of control, this volume above, big area of confluence as well, and we've had this gap down as well. So I'll only consider a break and a rejection of the gap fill. And then YM. Again, are we looking at the head and shoulders pattern? You know, it's open to interpretation where you think the left shoulder is. It could be there, could be here, but we can see left shoulder, head. Are we putting in a right shoulder right now? And the neckline is clearly visible. Here's the area of confluence as well. That area there. You could also argue this entire area could form part of the neckline. Oh, it's supposed to be in a rectangle. And it also happens to be a high volume area as well, and it's 43,000, which is a psychological number. So let's watch for this area here for a bounce. Come back down, bounce. If we can't hold that and we lose it, break and retest of the neckline. Otherwise, break and retest of pre-market low. We've got a previous pivot. We're below all the moving averages, so the trend, or this big gap down, is in our favour. So break and retest of pre-market low. Break and retest also pre-market high. Let's zoom in a bit so we can see what we're looking at. Here we go, that's better. So pre-market high is a previous level as well we've marked up. In fact, it's also a previous area of demand as well, which we've broken through in the gap down. So let's watch for a pre-market break and retest to try and fill this gap. And I'm not a biggest fan of longs, to be honest. Break and retest pre-market low short, and we lose that pivot there, and our next pivot is down here. So we do have a little bit of room below for sure. So I do quite like this on the short side. In fact, I'm gonna put an alert in if we break down through 44. Okay, and then finally Bitcoin. I did add to Bitcoin at the weekend when it got to 100,000. And then I looked at it again, and boom, it came right back down. Remember I said 92 is the key level, so let's keep an eye on 92,000. Got 2 Bitcoin, that's the one. This is the futures, this is the main one, which I mark up. So I need to add my add in, and it was about 100,000 as well. I think it was around about here. Or was it? It might have been lower. I think it might have been 95. I'll put it there for now and I'll double check later. I thought we were going to hold this 100,000, but we didn't. We lost it. But 92 is definitely an area to watch for a bounce. You can see big area there. I'm surprised there's not as much volume. We have a little bit of volume in this region, so this is where we've been sitting mainly for the last couple of months. If we lose 92, then we've got this big gap. You can see declining volume down into this previous all-time highs area. So if we lose that area, we've got this potential void below. We watch for a bounce. All these levels where I'm looking for bounces, I should have added there. And if we get back down, I might add to that. I've only added a little tiny bit up here, obviously. I'm hoping that we just accumulate for a bit and then we start pushing back out. But for day trading, let's go down. Which I'm day trading it as well. I do quite like. Pretty much there for yesterday's low. 100,000 is the only place I like for rejection. So if we get back up to this 100,000, I'm watching for a rejection back down. Otherwise, I'm looking for a bounce around this 91 area here. So a double bottom like that. And that's it. That's all I consider. I may consider break and retest pre-market high, pre-market low, with the emphasis on the pre-market low because that's the current downtrend. And that's pretty much it. Let's quickly look at the order flow. This is currently live as well on my other stream. So order flow, price is declining, Just looking exactly as you expect. Slight increase, there's nothing there. Giving us any clues. What could happen after market opens? 30-minute filtered, all the point controls in the right places. There's no major orders waiting. You can see that's here as well. All in the 200 and 300s where they are. There's nothing like 500, 600. So nothing really to look at on the order flow right now. I look for divergences if I'm looking for a break or retest or rejections. And that's it. appreciate you watching. I will be back tomorrow, but live stream showing this live order, the order flow you can see right now. It will be live all day. And just a quick one, I will be away Thursday, Friday, and Monday next week, possibly Tuesday. So I'm only going to be doing the pre-market video until Wednesday this week. Okay, thank you for watching. I'll be back tomorrow, and any questions, put them into the other live stream.